Hi guys, Korean movie recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm going to recap a 2020 Thai romantic comedy movie, titled Love You My Arrogance. This movie is about a handsome and popular guy who has a special sense. He can hear people's thoughts, but it makes him frustrated. He always keeps away from the crowd, even when meets a fan. Because of that, they think that he is arrogant. As a result, his career keeps going down. He tries to find a way to increase his popularity, and there's a girl who is glad to help. However, is the girl really glad to help? Or does she have other intentions? Let's find out. This film begins with Sun, a YouTuber with a special sense of hearing everyone's thoughts. He always wears earbuds to cover it. While he looks around and constantly hears a lot of voices, which causes him a headache and usually runs because of it. Because of that, he doesn't want to be among the others. That makes people around and fans call him arrogant. His only two best friends are Pete and Kewon. The day before, he meets Pete. They decide to make some videos in Kewon's hometown. On their way to the village, they meet two people who are looking for a ride to the village because their car has broken down. He initially wants to assist, but he hears his thoughts. He says, Sun is both gorgeous and arrogant at the same time. Because of that, he shuts the car window and leaves. When they get to the village, they encounter Kewon and Brownie, a girl who is his fan. She screams loudly when sees him. Not long after, the two strangers arrive. It turns out they are neighbors, then Kewon introduces them to each other. Those two strangers are Anna and Tub Tab. She is a novelist who goes to the village to get inspiration, and he is her friend and manager. After that, he leaves them, then discusses the topic of content with Pete and Sunday. According to him, there are no drawbacks, the only problem is Sun should be able to be pleasant and friendly. He agrees on two conditions. First, Kewon has to join as the MC, and second, no more than 5 people would attend. For the success of the content, they agree. The next morning, as part of content production, they and farmers from the Mayrawa around the Pumable Dam have a discussion about rice. Before starting, he recognizes the number of individuals exceeds his request, but Pete tells him not to be worried and begins right away. Everything runs well, until he asks him to demonstrate the rice milling machine. At first, he hesitates, but eventually approaches the machine in front of the villagers. When he sees them, a commotion ensues, which comes from the villagers' thoughts. As a result, he is currently suffering from a headache and leaves the activity to a quiet place. Suddenly she appears, meanwhile he notices something odd because can't hear her thoughts. So, he asks where her thoughts are, which makes her unpleasant. She believes he has a foul mouth, then leaves. At night, he wants to go out for a bike ride. He walks out of the house, then meets two bikers and hears their thoughts. The next day, they have breakfast with Brownie. Pete says the video is worthless. She is listening and advising him, but he ignores. He is silent during the conversation, so Kewon makes sure he is okay. He gestures for her to leave before talking, then she walks away. He tells them about a robbery that would happen at 11 p.m. On the other hand, Brownie appears while they are having breakfast, so she asks to join them because she is curious to know more about Sun. After breakfast, they investigate the people as they pass through the village. They stop one of the motorcyclists and ask to take off the mask, but they resist, so he seizes the keys. Finally, they take off the mask, but he is mistaken. Afterwards, the motorcyclists notice him and tells he is not only arrogant but also rude. Anna and her friend are watching the incident. She can't stop thinking about what they've just seen. While they talk, the other motorcyclists are speeding. He yells at them and the motorcyclists turn around to ask for her numbers, but she ignores and immediately leaves. While on their way home, the motorcyclist suddenly stops them. They feel threatened, so he hits one of them and the others want to retaliate. Before being hit, Sun shouts loudly. They are glad that someone finally helps them. They walk out in slow motion. However, they are too sluggish, so they brutally beat and kick the motorcyclists without them. Then he recognizes that the motorcyclists are the ones planning the robbery. He asks them, then they say it was a mistake and beg for mercy and also promise not to do it again. On the other hand, Brownie meets Pete, who is working alone, and she asks about Sunday. Instead of answering, he takes advantage of the opportunity to ask for help in gaining more followers. She also uses the situation to negotiate that she'd be willing to help if he could help her become closer to Sunday. At first, he struggles, but she threatens to not help at all if refuses to cooperate. As a result, they agree to help each other. In the afternoon, he goes for a bicycle ride, but she follows him around. However, he doesn't care, and as she keeps following him, she loses her balance and falls off. Rather than helping, he tells her not to ride a bicycle if she is unable to. She is irritated and says doesn't need his help, so he instructs her to stand up, but she can't. He smiles before finally helping. Suddenly, Brownie and Pete come. She notices the situation and deduces that she is faking a fall to get his attention. But she tells her if she doesn't like him. She smiles and assists her when hears the answer. The next day, they visit Sun and friends. They want to interview a local resident near the Bhumibol Dam. As soon as they come, they begin the interview. At first, everything seems to be fine, until they get into an argument, and he hears their thoughts. As a result, he stops the interview, then Kuan leads them away, but they keep arguing. Finally, he takes them to the chicken coop and instructs them to collect the eggs. On the other hand, she stays in the location until the session is completed. He notices she is keeping an eye on him. Through his mind, he informs Sunday. But he has no clue and asks why she is staring. He is surprised and asks him to hear her thoughts. Unfortunately, he can't. As they chat, she comes. He immediately asks about the intentions. She says wants to know more about him. He is defiant, but she is adamant to not giving up. Then they leave her. After that, Pete keeps talking about her, but he believes she may be losing her mind. Suddenly he hears something and rushes to find out what it is. He discovers it comes from a deaf woman who had fallen off her bike. She sees the incident, and is confused because the woman couldn't speak, yet he understood well. This incident tickles her interest even further. In the evening, they head to a cafe. She begs him to find information about him under the pretense of finishing her novel. He is shocked, but eventually agrees. After a hard day, Pete prays for more views on their video, then posts a reminder to upload. Shortly after, they receive a lot of negative comments and he becomes upset, but he convinces him. The next morning, Anna and her friend meet Brownie, who is concerned about the response of the video. Not long after, the video is uploaded and gets a huge number of views, but he seems unconcerned about the negative comments that will surely flood the comment section. But she notices and gets into a war of anti-fan insults. As a result of the dispute, an anti-fan visits him, but he is unconcerned and keeps working. However, an anti-fan bothers him. On the other hand, she feels terrible and meets him to apologize, but he throws her out. When it happens, she sees the anti-fan recording. So, she pursues and tells him to stop hating him, and they get into an argument. Afterwards she seeks Sun, and wants him to apologize to Brownie. She also tells not to be afraid of his strength. He is flabbergasted and argues because he thinks she is tutoring him. While they argue, he hears someone racing will attack her, so he pulls her down and they both fall. After the accident, they return home. When he gets home, the anti-fan comes and apologizes for misjudging him, but Sun also apologized for his terrible behavior toward him, then they forgive each other. After that, he goes to see Anna to treat her to ice cream and also explains that she is the only person that he can't hear the thoughts of. Afterwards, she splits the ice cream on him, so he rushes to the restroom to clean it up. Suddenly, her friend comes and tells her story has been approved. He also praises that approaching him is a great idea. In the meantime, he overhears the conversation then leaves. 2 days later, they go to Kanchanaburi to avoid her. While they are there, Pete suggests altering his attitude, because he doesn't want him to be known as arrogant, but he refuses, so he eventually leaves. Shortly after, he realizes goes too far, then looks for him to apologize. Luckily, he forgives. At night, he is surprised when Anna and Brownie come. She tries to clarify the previous misunderstanding and admits that she approaches him to get ideas for the novel, but during that time she discovers that she is falling in love with him. He ignores and abandons her. However, he is concerned, so he finds her. When he finds her, she sprains leg and can't walk. Because of that, he carries her. One mission is completed as he forgives her. The next day, they go to Memory Park as a last mission for Brownie to apologize to him. She starts to talk, but he stops and tells that she doesn't need to apologize. Instead, he thanks for her endless support and hugs. After that, Pete takes her and lets him and Anna talk. At the end of the movie, he confesses his feelings and also tries to kiss her, but she blushes and they laugh together. In the meantime, she gestures to tell him that she wants to be his girlfriend. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.